Welcome back to Real Religion. I'm Joseph Birch. Here with Matt once again. We just recorded Two Truths and a Lie Religion Edition, my first video of that, and now we're going to talk a little bit about Matt. You mentioned in the other video, which if you didn't see that, I don't know what you're doing here, but go watch it and come back. Or finish this and go watch it. Matt, so you're from a Roman Catholic background.
I am.
You're now a young man. What are you? About 20, 19, 20, 21?
19, almost 20.
19,
almost 29.
All right. That doesn't matter right now.
Oh, okay.
Matt and I do. This is not a stranger that I'm making jokes at right now. So, you were raised Catholic, right?
Yes,
I was. You were a cradled Catholic. You were baptized as an infant.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents took you to mass, etc.
Yes.
Okay. So I've talked to a lot of people on this channel who are converts or deconverts, as the case may be. But I realized I've asked them about their experience of what brought you to your faith or your conclusions about faith, and I haven't really asked about people who have remained in the faith that they were raised in as to why they've chosen to do that. And I really want to know how your Catholic upbringing, how you feel it shapes your life, transitioning, I guess, into adulthood and into living on your own, and how do you take that thing that you were raised with and make it something that you now live with by choice?
Yeah, so both of my parents being Catholic, I was going to mass every single week for like the entirety of my childhood, and then I went to a all-male military Catholic school. So, I kind of had that reinforcement of Catholicism throughout my entire life, and also going to the religious education classes from like 1st to 8th grade in order to get confirmed into the Catholic Church.
Right.
So really, I'd say the best thing about that is transitioning into adulthood is it makes things a lot easier because I have a sense of a moral compass from being raised Catholic, and I'm grounded in my beliefs, so which makes everything a lot better. I can, and not saying that I'm better than anyone else, not like that. I mean, like I have a support system, as in I have my parents, I have my religious education teachers, I have my priest, my bishop, and I just have something to lean on whenever I'm facing tough times, things like that.
Matt may occasionally use Catholic words, Catholic language, if you're not familiar with. I do have a video on the 7 sacraments. It's a short video, part of the core belief series. So you mentioned confirmation, that'd be in there. Check that out, and then I can link other resources if I didn't already on that video. But yeah, I'm probably not going to ask you to define very many terms, but I may interject with hey, what's that for the viewers?
Yeah.
All right. You mentioned, you have a sense of grounding, a sense of, would you say a sense of community?
Yes.
Yeah. And you said a sense of a moral compass. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you would agree, most people would say they have a sense of a moral compass, but you're saying you have a sense of a moral compass in a way that was kind of given to you.
Yeah.
That you didn't have to arrive at necessarily. Do you feel like your moral compass, I guess your moral instincts or your way of thinking about right and wrong in your day-to-day life is explicitly Catholic?
I would say yes, because I have been going, I go to church almost every single Sunday, and you know, it's kind of hard not to whenever you think about everything that you're doing. It's like whenever I think about everything that I'm doing, I'm thinking like, oh, is this like the right thing to do? And like, would a priest be okay with this? Like,
Okay.
I mean, or would I feel comfortable confessing what I am about to do to a priest would be a better way to say it.
Okay. Do you go to confession
I do.
regularly?
About once every month and a half, I'd say.
Okay. Oh, so every month and a half. Okay.
Mhm.
And you said you go to mass almost every week, or?
Yeah. I try to, cause I actually am in a relationship with a Southern Baptist, so we kind of have to switch off every other week, but I get to Catholic church as much as I can.
Nice. Okay. Um, that's interesting. That's something I want to talk about that I haven't had a chance to on this channel. And it's been the subject, I guess, of a good bit of writing and thought, and obviously, a lot of people's personal lives. But interfaith relationships, being in a relationship with someone who doesn't share your religion. There's a lot of real, I guess, mechanics to that have to be kind of ironed out. What I'll start open ended and then maybe we can get specific. But what is that like for you, and what, I guess, do you have anything that you want people to know about that?
I would say if you're thinking about dating outside of your faith, you definitely need to talk to the other person about how things will work, because I've previously dated like outside of my religion before, and they're not open to anything. Like they're not open to like going to church, like my church or anything like that, or going to like adoration and stuff. Excuse me.
There's one I am going to ask for a definition for the viewers.
Okay.
Adoration.
So adoration is a time that you have to yourself. And it might not be just yourself. Like it's basically where you go and you pray and you think about everything that you've done before you go to confession. So that way like what you can say to the priest and everything like that. There might be some music in there too to really get you thinking, but it's a time for yourself to remember the things that you've done, so that way you can confess them. So yeah,
Thank you.
no problem. Going on with like open-mindedness though, like you definitely need to talk with the other person and make sure that it will be okay, that like if they're open to things, and if they're not, then it might not be the greatest match in the world.
So, a little tougher question. What would you say to people who are critical of the situation that you're in now? Because, as I understand it, you really are supposed to go to mass every week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there are some people, Catholic people, who might be saying, well, if his relationship is making him miss mass on some Sundays, then he should really do something about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd say the biggest thing about that is compromise. Like whenever she goes to my church, she's missing her time too, like with God. So I mean, both of them are times with God, but it's just in the way that we've both been raised. It can be different to us. Like like whenever she came to my church for the first time, she had never been to a Catholic church until she met me. Um, she was like, "Oh man, everyone's just like says stuff and like all this old music and everything and like the cantor." And but then when I go to hers, it's like everyone's like raising their hands up and everything like that, and then it's like pop style music and everything. So I mean, compromise is definitely the biggest thing. So it's not like I'm making all the sacrifice. Like she's
Right.
making sacrifice too.
Okay, that's interesting. You said that both times with God, you consider, when you go to Protestant, you said Southern Baptist,
Hmm.
when you go to a Baptist worship service, you feel that there's a genuineness to that worship, that you're able to worship God in that context.
I feel like I am able to worship God. I'm not gonna say that I feel more comfortable with it because I'm Catholic, so I think my service is like, everyone thinks their service is the right way, but I mean, but I definitely feel a sense of connection, and I think that's the most important thing is that you're giving glory to God.
You do run afoul, though, of, I'm guessing, certain theological differences, just, and maybe not a lot in the context of just our own service, but you do run into some differences, and maybe some of them are just like, oh, that's a little different, that's a little awkward, and some
Hmm.
of them might be like, oh, I really don't agree with the way that's done. Is there? I guess what would you say are the big differences that you've noticed between the two?
So definitely the biggest difference that I noticed between the two services is I feel like there's a lack of respect within the Southern Baptist services, because whenever we do everything, it's done with a very very like big it's a respectful way, and like whenever we uh whenever we first go into our pews, we do something called we genuflect before we go into the pews, and it's when we kind of kneel and then do the sign of the cross, and it's just stuff like that, and I feel like it's just not as respectful, but that's not to put anyone down. It's just because like everything that we do in the Catholic Church is said with like solemnness and everything like that in our mass. So
Okay, yeah. Now, I'm assuming when she attends mass with you, she
hmm
doesn't take communion as
hmm
per Catholic policy.
hmm
When you attend her church, do you take communion?
uh I have taken communion at other churches
Hmm.
before. I and to my knowledge, like I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but Southern Baptists don't really take it as much, so I haven't really had the chance to do it.
Okay.
But I have done it at other um, places before,
Mhm.
and I don't like doing it though because I feel better doing it at like a Catholic service because like transubstantiation and stuff.
Do you feel, and I don't mean to make controversy where there is none, do you feel like they're doing it wrong sometimes when you go other
Um,
places?
as in like communion.
Yeah.
Um, I do, but I mean, once again, it's not putting anybody else down. It's just how I've been raised.
No, yeah, and there's a particularity about how things are done
Yeah.
that's important to
Hmm.
Catholic thinking. And I think there is a lot of controversy around the way that the Catholic Church treats communion, aka the Eucharist. But
Yeah.
consider, I guess, and you can say that I'm right about this or not, but how huge a part of Catholicism that is. I mean, it's one of the central parts of Catholic life and theology.
Yeah.
I mean, is that right?
It's definitely right. You know, like we take the Eucharist every single Sunday, or during Mass. Trent down. Sorry. This is Trent, everybody. Hey buddy. But
do all dogs go to heaven?
Oh man, how long do you have for this video? Future video, stay tuned.
Right.
Do all dogs go to heaven?
Sorry, go ahead.
But
the Eucharist, you take it every Mass or every Sunday Mass, right?
Well, just every Mass in general. That it doesn't matter what day it's on. Just every Mass in general, we always take the Eucharist, and it's not just taken either. Like one of the points of confession is to make sure that we are in the right mind and state to be able to take the Eucharist. Because if we have sins on our soul, we're not supposed to take the Eucharist.
Okay. That's interesting. Recently there's a lot of talk, I guess, in political circles about people being denied communion.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of controversy about the fact that non-Catholics can't take the Eucharist in the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what some people don't realize is there's actually a lot of restriction on who is supposed to take the Eucharist.
Yeah.
There is. What would count as? Isn't there also a requirement to not eat before the Eucharist?
Yes.
Okay.
We can't eat an hour before we take the Eucharist.
What about chewing gum? If you chew gum, does that? No chewing gum.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
Nothing.
Water?
I'm sure water would be.
Water.
You're really not supposed to eat or drink anything an hour before. So, but if you absolutely had to, I don't think you'd
if it was medical, for example.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of those exemptions from certain religious rules in most faiths where it's if it's medical, even we talked about Yom Kippur in the quiz game. Even Yom Kippur is the big fast in the Jewish liturgical year.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a medical reason that you can't go a whole day without food or water, then you got to figure that out.
Yeah.
There was another question on my mind about so clearly, you have a lot of respect for not just for the Catholic faith, but for the way that the Church operates, the way that things are handled, the liturgy, all that.
Mm-hmm.
What, if anything, do you think needs reform? What needs to change within the Catholic Church? And I don't want to set you up to rub against your community. But if you can, what do you think? And that's the question I used to ask everyone. I need to get back to it. But what needs to change?
So just anything in general, or
anything about the Catholic Church that you would like to see change and how.
All right. So I think everyone is familiar with this, but something I really want to see change and I want to see action about is the priests that are sexually assaulting all these people. That something needs to be done about that, and it's disrespectful to the Church to still keep them as a priest, and even within the Catholic Church, just moving them somewhere is not the right thing to do. And that's something I really want to see change, because that is not somebody that accurately represents the Catholic faith. So,
do you think that people who are found to have done that, should they be immediately removed from the priesthood?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think they need to be removed from the priesthood, and then I think they need to be tried under American law too.
Yeah. So, what about people who are, for instance, repeatedly accused, but it's never proven, either because victims won't testify, or statute of limitations, or even if they actually win a court case? So what then?
So I'd say for the proof, I don't really. I feel like it's what do you gain out of accusing a priest of something like that? Like the priest lives off of, at the end of the day, like what the people of the parish can give, and which is supposed to be 20% of your annual funds. Fun fact. But so I feel like nobody really has anything to gain out of it. So like why this priest? So I'm not really sure what could be done about the proof, because that's a good question. It's a great question.
When you say people don't have anything to gain from making false accusations, do you mean therefore we should tend to believe the accusation?
Well, obviously, like I'm also a criminal justice major. It's always innocent until proven guilty. So I definitely have that mindset, but I don't think it's the right thing to do to just like take the call. Somebody calls 911 and like oh, priest did this to me, and so it's like that shouldn't be just like be subsided or anything. There should be some action taken.
So I want to raise an argument to you. We do need to cut this off soon, but there are those who would say, and not just about the priest as well, I think, there are those who would take the approach of err on the side of caution when they're with regard to be quicker to remove priests, because there's an idea that no one is necessarily entitled to be a priest.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a reasonable chance that they are an abusive priest, then it would behoove the church to just go ahead and remove them without the absolute proof. How do you feel towards that argument?
I don't think that's the way to go about it, because I think there definitely needs to be some sort of some sort of proof. But I mean, if a little kid comes up to you and like says this, like what? I don't really know how you're supposed to like take it lightly or like not believe it. So.
On the criminal justice side, do you believe that the statute of limitations should be extended or eliminated for those types of offenses?
I definitely think they should be eliminated, because just because like you're a priest doesn't mean you should be exempted from being tried under law, because also like with testifying, if somebody comes to you for confession and like they testify that they murdered somebody, like I don't agree with like eliminating that, but in terms of people getting tried for criminal reasons, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Well, I hate to end on such a sour note. We had a nice talk, and then it was like, oh, what should we do about priests who are rapists? But but we're at 24 minutes here, so thank you for being here and talking with me. It's been good.
Of course.
Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, all of that.